Okay, so some of you, like in a collision shop, you might say, oh, it's in final prime, and we use a 2K urethane primer or something of the like that's not this heavy-bodied polyester primer. And yes, I like to use the Clausen Rust Defender because you can get it wet. You can wet sand it at the end. Some of the poly primers on the market, also good products and do a lot of good filling and shaping capabilities, but you cannot get them wet. You'll ruin it. It'll soak it up like a wick. And this is why. This is what some people would say, oh, it's in final primer. You just sand it with 320 in your soft pad. Well, this is why you don't do that. And see, if you didn't have that guide coat on, you could hear the sanding change pitch from this rough to how it smooths out. That feels smooth to your hand, but there's still pockmarks in from the peel that you can't feel or you wouldn't be able to see if you didn't have that guide coat on there. So this is why we hard block everything, and we don't use the soft pad until we're doing the final wet sand. And I'll put the guide coat on to show you, so it'll magnify. So we're putting this guide coat on here where we hand sanded that with the 320 and made it feel like, yeah, it feels smooth. So we put the guide coat on, we're back to 240, and look at that. See what that soft pad does? Makes it all choppy and doesn't get all the peel out from the spring. So that's why the hard block and the cross hatch, and you do that until that is all gone. And again, everything gets hard blocked on the primer, even down in the running boards. I got a Durablock that fits down in here, and if it didn't, I could grind that, cut it, or whatever. I'll wrap paper around that, and again, it's a little bit narrow, so I will cross hatch back and forth, even down in these running board pieces. And you want to be very careful about ever putting a block up on the edge unless you're very, very comfortable. Again, I've been block sanding since I was a little kid. Me and my dad painted vehicles even before I had my driver's license. So you can, this has a little bit of a pyramid here. You can put this block on the edge and shape that in. But you want to use great care not to dig in, because it will leave grooves if you're not careful. Everything, you find a block that fits everywhere. Again, the easy way would just be use your hand through here, but your fingers leave grooves because you can't control the pressure. Like a block equalizes the pressure out. So you'll use a round block in here. And again, don't just go back and forth and dig a groove. See how that just puts a line in there? And I'm rolling it as I go in and out of this curved area. And see, that gets that nice and smooth through there, both directions, so it's flat both ways. Another place, again, I can't emphasize enough about using blocks everywhere on the vehicle. Again, a windshield pillar. Again, you want to get lazy. You want to use a soft pad on this, but again, you want to shape it with a hard block. I'm back to one of these new 3M plastic sticks. So you can get back in behind this drip rail. That's why it takes so long and takes so many hours to do a quality paint job on a hot rod or restoration, because the hours of surface prep and shaping is crazy. I've been weeks, that's right, weeks priming and blocking after all the metal work was done on this thing, and the metal was just a mess on this project. So you want to block absolutely everything on these things. Okay, this is a new thing that I've been using for a little less than a year now. It's a soft sander. I've got a friend that always swore by these, and I was like, man, I always use these hard blocks because you got to block everything down. Well, these do have their purpose, and the guy that owns the company actually finally showed me how to properly do this stuff. Well, you want to make it fit the shape of whatever you're trying to sand. I'll use this after I get done blocking, and I might have a little bit of a ripple that you can just barely feel. And to get the shape of it, you want to put the paper on the curved area and then stick this to it. What that does is it holds its shape, and then with a little bit of light pressure, you'll sand. It got that built-in curve in it. So you basically made your own custom sanding block. The paper holds it. And if you put the paper on and then tried to flex this thing, like if you're moving to a different place, the paper buckles. So that's why you put the paper on, hold it, and stick the soft block on there, and then you can get the curve. See how it's shaping that curve really nice? You could use this, but see how it doesn't flex as much. So you're basically just sanding these little spots. And that you'll get little ripples through there. And what I'll do is I'll use a curved block like this to knock it down, and then as I get through the grits, I'll come back with my soft sander and just basically make sure everything's cool and knocked down. See how that's nice and uniform right there, and all the chop marks are all gone there now. Okay, it is a very dirty job, and it's very, very long hours, a lot of strenuous activity. I know you're just sanding, but you sand like this for 14, 16 hours a day, your shoulders take a beating. And again, wear your mask when you sand, because all the dust and everything that you use anymore is very, very bad for your health. So that's your Basics 101. Later on down the road, as we do different type of tech tips for the Strange Motion Way, we'll probably readdress some other blocking techniques. And definitely when we get some clear on this vehicle, I'll show you how we do it, the wet sanding. Again, we do more blocking after the clear's on. Just because the car has clear on it doesn't mean it's all done. We block all over and go about 7 different grits before we put the buffer on it to put the shine on it. So again, thanks again for watching the Strange Motion Way. I'm Tim Strange, and we'll see you next time.